Okay, gentlemen, we're live. Welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's Investors Discovery Day live stream. We have a special presentation for you today. We have a demo day. Hopefully everything is going to work because we got online connections in 3 different countries. We don't know how the internet is, but I'm excited because we're gonna really learn about AIML, the health gauge technology. We're gonna get a demo from Randy. We're going to be meeting Randy for the first time on a camera, the CEO. Tim, of course, we've met before, the chairman. So everybody who's joining us for the first time, Wall Street Reporter's Discovery Day live stream, our live stream is what they're all about, is bringing you those stocks which have 10x to 100x upside potential. So these are companies going after multi-billion-dollar market opportunities. They're at a key inflection point right now, right at the threshold of that explosive growth. And there's multiple catalysts in place which can, really create that shareholder value, unleash that stock price. And we've seen that, just in the last few months, in the last few weeks, we've had I think 3 of our stocks. One of them is already up 20x, and we have 2 that are closing in on 10x. So we're going to find out if AIML is going to be that next 10 bagger. So please, guys, watch the presentation, the demo, ask the chairman your questions, and then decide for yourself if AIML is going to be that 10x or 100x stock. So with that said, Tim, welcome. Randy, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Good to be back.
Hey, Randy, I'd like to start off with you because last time there was an internet problem, we weren't able to see you. So now, if you can just start off, tell us about how did you kind of invent the technology, the product? How did you get involved? What made you start the company?
Yeah, for sure. So I have a fairly long experience in technology, productization, commercialization. I actually worked in one of Canada's biggest telecoms and mobile companies, and they wanted to invest, instead of in media, they wanted to invest in digital assets such as digital health. Seeing that as an opportunity to move forward. So I worked for 10 years in an organization called TELUS Health Solutions, which is Canada's largest digital health services provider. And so when I finished my career at TELUS, I was working on personal health record solutions, which are really fairly passive kinds of solutions that people were having a hard time working with and using. Fast forward to today, this decade, and we're living in an age where you can now tie together these incredibly powerful sensor solutions with the latest in software of machine intelligence based applications and machine learning kinds of solutions. And we in Canada and certain parts of Canada have access to incredible talent, world-leading talent, to really bring those pieces together. So it really struck me as an opportunity to really start to work on prevention and ongoing health management interests, going well beyond today's current wearable technologies. And so with my background and the people that I brought together as a team, we were one of the leading companies in the world that is really honing in on machine intelligence-based systems, addressing these needs that people are expressing, and we're getting great interest in our work.
So essentially, your technology relies on what? It's a combination of AI and also the machine learning.
Yes, okay. That's right. And
I was going to say, so the markets that you're going after, what are all the key markets? What's the opportunity that Health Gauge, I guess, is addressing?
Right. When we look at the past year in 2020, the pandemic issues actually have really exposed a lot of the issues around people accessing care, and people accessing care, frankly, to be involved in their kind of current state, and so online solutions, virtual healthcare, devices that can help capture physiological information in ways that can be actioned. People are really getting those solutions. Well, we've been working at that platform concept for at least 3 years now, and it's not about the wearable. It's really about the solution going beyond.
Okay, and so I think what we're going to do is we're going to show the technology at work. We're actually going to show the data coming in. So are you guys ready to? Hopefully this works. We'll do a little screen share. Okay, so.
Yes.
I need just a moment to set it up here because we're going to demonstrate there's the three components to our solution for which we have patent pending on. The one, of course, is the wearable device, and this is the first and critical data aggregator. This is how we get our data, and then Randy works his magic with his AI and ML, and turns that aggregated data into some meaningful, actionable information that even lay users like you and I, Jack, can make some sense of and appreciate and use to change our habits and lifestyles. So that's the first piece. The second piece I'm going to be showing is the phone app, which is a more involved, more intricate, but also very, very user-friendly piece to the solution. And then the final piece is the platform. And Randy will, for the purpose of this demonstration, be my care provider, my physician. Okay. I'm located in Italy. He's in Canada. My data gets ported over to him, and he can make some meaningful, actionable decisions based on the data, even though we're half a world apart. So those are the three pieces. So bear with me for 1 second, and I'll just manipulate my camera to get this set up so that I can show you the.
Randy, you want to do a screen share so we can see your data?
Yeah. So the data will actually transfer after the capture.
Yeah.
So Tim will show first.
Yeah. So once I do the capture onto the phone app, then Randy can.
So Randy, if you're gonna do a screen share, you gotta I think share window or app, because right now.
Right. All right. I got you.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Very exciting.
All right. So I'll give a quick run through. So if you can see it here, so this is the home screen with the basic data, of course, the phone. The time and heart rate and steps and so on, shown in summary form. But as I scroll through, you can see more detailed data. So today it shows I took whatever that said, 8,300 and some steps. That was my total today. This is how many calories were burnt during that exercise. It looks like I went for a 5.4 kilometer run. And so continuing to scroll through this, the ECG and EKG, oops, sorry, I touched it too many times, but we'll do the ECG on the phone app. So for now, what I'll do is I'll show you how the heart rate monitor works. I do nothing. I just simply let it work its magic on my arm, and it'll start analyzing the data and coming out with my current heart rate. So you see it at roughly 60 beats, 67, 69, 70. There we go. So it's settling in to my current heart rate. Oh, sorry, I scrolled too far again. Sorry, this is the problem with a live demo like this is it's a little bit by the seat of the pants. But
are you going to show the mobile app too, Tim?
Okay. And Randy, I'm sorry, I think I may have deleted, I may have removed your screen share. So if you can go back to the screen share showing the data.
Yeah, well, Tim, I need Tim to do a data capture. So he's just showing the device at the moment. Okay. And so then we'll go to it, and then we'll do a capture.
Sorry. So
that and then we'll go to my screen.
Right. So that was basic functionality on the wrist device. Now I'll show the data capture on the app. We'll start with the home screen. And again, I apologize for first of all, the screen is actually far more colorful than what my camera shows. But the data that it's showing here is, first of all, the blood pressure reading, Again, the distance, you notice it's the same distance as what was showing on my wrist device, number of steps through the day, heart rate variability, which is a very important measurement. Sleep pattern, I didn't have it turned on last night, but sleep pattern and weight, so on.
Tim, can you move your phone a little bit back because it's a little bit out of focus?
Okay.
I want people to be able to see.
I'm so sorry.
Let's see if maybe the camera's not okay. So it's good enough. I think it's good enough.
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
Okay, we get the idea. So capture.
Sure.
Getting back to
Just
the
capture.
what's
Okay, so
data?
So what you're seeing here is the capture screen, and I click on the start measurement, and now it's reading off my wrist device. And Randy, you might want to comment here.
Yeah, for sure. And so you've got an electrocardiogram signal capture plus a digital pulse, and this is being done simultaneously, and there's a visual. Now, when you think about other competing solutions, people aren't really understanding or even visualizing this information. Most companies are frankly throwing this data out. We actually disassemble these data assets, and there's actually data embedded in each of these signals, which is very rich. And then we will also associate that to behaviors.
So what happened here was, as Randy was speaking, it ran through its progression, and it came up with the results. So it was showing blood pressure 121/78, heartbeat 72, and heart rate variability of 86. Now that information is being automatically ported up into the cloud, and Randy, as my doctor in this example, can access my data. But let me show you maybe quickly here some of the other features that are available through the app, which are all very, very meaningful. A number of them. For example, I can on my app go to a screen, and again, it's I apologize, it's not real clear and clean here, but this shows graphically where my blood pressure was falling on the graph, and whether I'm in the normal range, high range, low range, so on and so forth. There's all sorts of comparable data, heart rate versus my sleep pattern, heart rate versus deep sleep, heart rate versus systolic and diastolic pressures, and so on. So this is all, very important, meaningful, actionable data that that your care provider can make some sense of, particularly in conjunction with other features that we have. For example, we can tag different either actions or emotions that were going on at the same time. So I can indicate that during this period I was, for example, smoking. I'm not a smoker, but I could tag that I was smoking. I could tag that I was under stress. I could tag that that I was sleepy or fatigued, and so on. And so, for the first time, you have this artificial intelligence that can pair up not only the hard data based on the results coming off the monitors, but tag it to our behavioral data and make some actionable, meaningful sense of all that. So, Randy, can you now pull up the cloud?
So I'll pull that up now, and so tell me if you can see screen, guys.
Okay.
Did you see?
There we go.
You got it? There we go. Yeah, so I'm just going to do a refresh here. So I'm basically on the other side of the world, and I'm going to refresh to get that latest data set from the system. Let's see. Oh no, this is I got to go back here. I got to get Tim's notes. So I'll refresh, and the cardiac. We're going for the cardiac data. And I'm gonna have to. I'm on the wrong ID. So hang on a sec. I got to change it over to Tim's ID. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Don't let everybody know my password.
Yeah. All right. So here's the ECG data just coming in, and there's the signal that Tim just captured. So a nice clean ECG and a digital pulse. And what's going to be also captured in here is if there's tagging information that I, as a clinician, can associate this signal and other signals over the course of a week. I can, as somebody that's supporting Tim, I can do analysis of both the things that he's tagged as important, and that can include medications or diet and exercise, as well as pain events and so on. So we can really start to understand the physiology, adjust a care plan that's supporting the individual, and as over time we'll see some improvements over this data. Now Tim's in pretty good shape here, as you can see, and so there's nothing too much, but there's still people will be interested. Let's just go back here. People will still be interested in these topics. I just go over here. So I'm going to stop sharing now because it's getting a little echo. But I think you can see that the data capture, first there's that collection of information, and it's just within 2 seconds it goes into the cloud, and other kinds of analysis is performed at that point in time. So artificial intelligence is being used in many different ways, and there's some really exciting things that we're going to be introducing this year that really ties into, once you associate behavior and medications and diet to physiology, you can now do other kinds of analyses and use the machine tools to inform the individual and the care providers as far as events that are important to flag, or things that actually help you improve on your performance on a weekly basis. So these are all things that we've got in place, and we're continuing to expand on. And so it's a significant opportunity around how a personalized information is being captured, not within an acute care setting or in the doctor's office, which of course is important too. We're going to tie in that data as well. But when we're really looking at dealing with life's events on a daily basis, and without elaborating, I'm going through a little bit of a health issue where I had a pain event. I had to take some medications, and I was using Health Gauge to absolutely do exactly what we're talking about here, which is associating physiology with behavior, a bit of medications, and within days, my health was improving. But it was improving because I was informed. But I also was using tools to make sure I was managing that properly. So there's all sorts of different use cases that people are really wanting this solution for.
Okay. Let's open up for some questions here. Let's see here. We got a couple. Okay. So first question. All right. So essentially, your product essentially is the technology. The device is not the device. You're a device agnostic. Is that correct?
That is correct. The device is not a focal point. Yeah, Tim, maybe you want to speak to these points. Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Jack, that we don't really care how the data is aggregated as long as we're getting good, clean data. And part of our model over the course of this year is to make sure that our device syncs properly with all the major devices out onto the market. So the device in and of itself is not a critical feature set, even though it is a revenue stream for us. This device that I'm wearing and a couple other models are branded to us, and we do make some money off of it. Yeah. But that's ancillary revenue stream.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Maria is asking, how accurate is device compare? Well, I guess I'm sorry, it's a question. So really, there's multiple devices, you can use any of them. Okay, Kip was there. He's saying seems like a Fitbit. What makes you different from? Okay, I think maybe there's confusion about exactly what it is that you're doing. So maybe you can clarify that you're not in the device business, you're in the data capture, the whole physician. Please call it.
Yeah. It is. Understanding the differences between consumer market models and the device organizations. I mean, there's no question we're seeing a lot more investment in these areas, but there's very few organizations like ours that are really tapping into the full signals and the underlying software assets that are associated with that. So when we look at even the big players, and we have some good friends in some of these big organizations, and some of them are coming to us and looking for these solution ideas that we're presenting, because we can put our application on those devices. What's really important is that the data capture is on the electrocardiogram and the PPG, and we can already see there's more sensors, and we're making some investment in sensors technology too with the people that are creating these solutions. So we really want to make sure that we're participating actively as a software-oriented company in the AIML space. And that's not an easy thing to do. So that is a big differentiator for us as far as how we're associating all these things in a much broader way, which those other companies still are not really doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And from a business model standpoint, we're not trying to compete against the Apple Watches and Fitbits of the world. We can't. That's not what we do. Our model is B2B, meaning our customer base and our channel partners are insurance companies and healthcare providers and Fortune 500 companies like that, who then in turn have their customer base, their client base. And while we are intending to hang up an e-commerce site and sell on the retail side, again, that's an ancillary revenue stream for us. That's just pure bonus. But our sweet spot is B2B, is dealing with corporations, not individuals. Okay. So we don't view Fitbit, for example, as a competitor. We view them as a potential strategic partner, where we can partner with their hardware to provide, insurance companies or healthcare providers, or even individuals, with better solutions than what they're given today.
Okay, so basically, so again, essentially your model is based on essentially getting the data to the doctors and everything on the back end that the doctor analyzes, all that stuff. And I think, and can you talk about some of the recent use cases? Like you had the what is it, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they funded some study using technology, in the developing world. There's some actual use cases of the technology being used right now.
Yeah. Do you want to cover that, Tim, or shall I?
I'll go for it, Randy.
All right. So we had a reach out from it was actually Bangladesh, and we actually asked them and said, hey, well, have you talked to some of these other organizations? And they said, yeah, but they're not really able to do what you guys do. And so the use case, and there's literally dozens of use cases that we can define, but this one was in an area called eclampsia or preeclampsia. And so in areas where even data networks access can be troublesome, our devices can work within a very closed setting, and nurses can visit on a weekly basis, and we can identify women. And this is hypertension in pregnancy in developing nations that say, there can be mortality rates of 15 to 20%. So it kills a lot of women and children. Whereas in Western countries, it exists here too, but it's not quite it's handled faster. So our device was applied in a setting where we could identify within a care plan women faster, so that they could get served sooner. This was phase 1 work, but absolutely people are getting that as a use case. And again, there's literally dozens and dozens of use cases. And it's not just about hypertension, but about pain management, medication management, and relating again behaviors to physiological signals, and not just the counter things, not just the graphical things, but actually doing that in a way where we're connecting to care providers and not just doctors. There's this massive gap area of underinvestment in prevention and chronic condition management. And so we've got some really interesting client pilot initiatives in the United States around accountable care organizations. And so there's applications that we're going to partner with in tying our solution in there, so that we're actually getting people on plans using devices and solutions that people want to use in ways that haven't been done before.
Okay, let's get to some questions here. I guess Michael is asking, okay, when can we see some, I think the question he's asking is, when can we see some traction in terms of, some sales, some partnerships, stuff in the market?
Okay. So the first phase of that is entering into some pilot projects with potential strategic partners, and there's a number of those that are ready to be implemented now, and will be over the course of the upcoming weeks and months throughout the course of this year. And that tends to be the first step in the process before you find one of these large potential strategic partners migrate from that to an actual sales contract. But we are absolutely expecting sales happening definitely through the course of this year, and substantial sales. I mean, to put it in perspective, some of the organizations that we're in discussion with right now to organize pilot projects represent tens of thousands of their customers, and each one of those customers is a potential user of ours. Our business model is looking at about $25 per month subscription per user, and so the numbers mount very, very quickly. And so that's all coming imminently now.
Okay, so I want to kind of close out with the kind of business model, because this is I think this is the exciting part, is that if you can just explain the economics, how does the model, the SaaS, the subscription model, and then talk about first the economics of that, and then give a snapshot of potential use cases, so the real market opportunity, because it's a massive opportunity.
Absolutely, and as you just properly described, it's a SaaS model, which means our software is implemented as a ubiquitous system for the users, much in the same way that things we use every day, like Dropbox and Netflix. Those are classic examples. We don't even think of them as software anymore because they're so ubiquitous to our lifestyle, and that's the whole key with the SaaS model. And so people gladly and importantly, fork out their monthly subscription fees for these things, because it becomes something that we can't live without. Ours is the same sort of model. So what we're looking at is the piece that Randy demonstrated is really the money making piece. That's the cloud platform. That's where behind the scenes you have the AI and the ML working its magic, and creating this actionable data that is usable for the individual, but more importantly, usable to the care providers. And that's what's important to our potential partners, which are the insurance companies and the
so how much? So okay. So I guess the best part is, okay, so how much can you generate per month per device? I mean, basically per user. Like how much? And by the way, and just to clarify, your customer is the insurance company. It's on that B2B side, as you call it. So with the insurance, whatever, corporations, whoever needs to use it. How much are they paying you per month?
Yeah.
Per user?
We think that there's room in the market right now for roughly about $25 per month per customer subscription. Of course, that's on a case-by-case basis to be negotiated with the partners, and it'll depend on several things, like the size of the organization and the uptake within their organization and so on. But we believe that is a realistic target, is about $25.
Well, something else I want to mention on this too is that there's very few companies that have good data. There's lots of companies that have data, but the organization doing data aggregation, that's not really good enough, because most of that data is kind of junky. What we're doing is we're driving on the quality of data, in the overall signals. And so that we're getting organizations that want to work with our end users and our partner organizations so that they can enrich the platform. And so AI, artificial intelligence-based solutions, is going to be an expansive area where other organizations are going to want to serve individuals. That's all. These are all areas that can be monetized. And so it's basically AI as an app. So we're moving to this new world where intelligence as an app is actually going to be being placed within platforms such as ours. So that's a big part of our strategy. It's not about the device, it's about the software assets, and it's not about selling data, it's about selling services and outcomes that can be expanded upon using artificial intelligence, machine intelligence-based applications.
Okay, so basically, it's $25 a month per device, per user. But I'm not going to use the word device, per user. $25 a month per user. So if you get 100,000 users, $2.5 million a month revenues, 30 million a year, that's worth, in the space you're in, if you can get to 100,000 users, I think we talked about before, that's $1 billion valuation. That would be 30x revenues. I mean, we've seen those numbers, in the space. I know, some people, it sounds crazy, 30 times, but that's the Teledocs, the whatever, the Livongos, all those guys. And I'm not even talking about some of the smaller companies. What's your path? How are you going to get to 100,000 users? I think that's the magic number.
Well, what how we're seeing it is that B2B is very critical. Working with organizations that are serving people on their ongoing health journey. And so the doctors, certainly they're a part of that, but what we're seeing is this really large expanding area around ongoing care. So the dietitians, the psychologists, the kinesiologists, all the various other people that are working within that ecosystem, in using the Uber metaphor concept, they're not necessarily being utilized in the way that they can. So there's a lot of value that can be provided. So we're building that optimized platform stack that includes an opportunity to connect those individuals. And the doctors, of course, want it too. So the valuation is going to be orienting towards, in the United States, accountable care organizations, insurance companies are definitely interested in us. We're getting calls in from substantial insurance carriers that they have to compete, and they don't have enough access to solutions like ours, and they want to serve their clients, being employers and else. So this is why there's so much value here, is that there is so much need here that's underserved. But those are the markets and those clients that are really critical to us.
Okay. And so basically, all you need to do is just
I'd like to add, can I just add one thing, Jack? That sure. Randy has, one of the faults of a typical Canadian, in that he is modest to a fault, and he underestimates his own worth. Randy has spent a decade in this industry with TELUS Health, the largest health tech company in Canada, and in that role has become very well known within the industry and very respected within the industry. And Randy is leveraging those relationships that he's developed over that decade, now going forward within HealthGauge. So he has access to some of the biggest players in the industry that you and I would never have access to, Jack, just because of his background and stature within the industry.
Okay, so that's a very important point. I mean, to get that traction, quickly, because right now, look, in the microcap space, investors, we want we want things immediately. We want to get that traction, we want to get that velocity going. But I think if you sign up a couple of, you don't need, you're in the, you're going after these big accounts, insurance companies, they may have, they can put on 50,000 people like that. I mean, there's carriers. I mean, and that's just that's for starters. Let's see here. We get time for only really two questions, and we have to wrap up. Ramsey's asking, any traction from OHIP and provincial healthcare?
OHIP stands for Ontario Health Insurance Plan. And so I think the broader question really is reimbursability with both state and provincial and health organizations. And so we do have proposals in Western Canada in particular at the moment that, and then in the United States, we also have some discussions underway with accountable care organizations in the United States. US and Canada are really, hometown for us on these topics. But the governments of the day are recognizing the tremendous value of what organizations like ours are doing. The regulatory bodies are recognizing the incredible value that organizations like us are contributing. So yes, there's some policy work to be done, and a lot of times policy precedes innovation. But we're absolutely very active in those discussions to make sure that these solutions are being reimbursed.
Okay, we're gonna have one last audience question, and then we're gonna wrap up. I think this is one of the big potential opportunities here. Ramsey is asking, do you have a life full alert built in? And we talked about that is connected to a service that will call 911, compete with some of this. Yeah,
we don't have that right now, but for sure it's a roadmap item, and it's not really hard to do, to be really frank. Everything that we've got here is leveraging the latest gen tech, and in North America and most of the world, frankly, we're going to see a lot of 5G opportunities as well. And so we're gonna so that exists. AI is an incredible tool, and how we're using the sensors to do that. So definitely, it's going to be something that we're going to bring forward this year.
Okay, so really, there's so many potential uses, especially for insurance companies. They can kind of track, people's health, before an event happens. They can kind of say, okay, is there again, I'm not a doctor, so I don't, but is there blood pressure, I don't know, rising, falling? Is there a trend? Is there something that triggers some sort of alarm? And they can get that, weeks, days before any type of health event. And in the U.S., if somebody goes to the hospital, it's $100,000, like just they walk in the door, right? Yeah. So if the insurance company is spending $300 a year, it saves them, from taking a big hit. So very, very interesting. Okay, I want to, again, because we're out of time, I want to wrap up with one last question, and I don't know who wants to address it, but okay, two things actually. One is what's addressing the traction question we've had. What kind of news flow? What can we expect in the next let's call it 8 weeks? What kind of any potential deals? Anything we can keep an eye on?
Well, without saying more than we're allowed to say, because of course, as a public company, we have some rules and regs around what we can say that hasn't been released publicly. But what I will tell you is that stay tuned for a series of announcements revolving around some pilot projects with some potential strategic partners. Number one, and also we are working towards some additional acquisitions within the company that could be quite exciting as well.
Okay, additional acquisition. So there's acquisitions in the pipeline.
Acquisitions in the pipeline. Okay.
Last question: top 3 reasons for investors to consider the stock. I'll let either of you address it. Maybe one guy can do 2. One. Top 3 reasons.
Okay, Randy, do you want to?
Yeah. Well, sure. I would say that one of the big reasons why I think people want to pay attention to us is because of the team and the capabilities. Lots of people want to talk about AI, but very few actually know what it means. So we actually are able to tap into world-leading resources and we have experience in leading commercialization and development, so applied AI. So we have just an incredible capacity to innovate here.
Okay. Absolutely right. We are a company that's in the right space at the right time. The digital healthcare it's an industry that's come into its own. It's not going away. It's been catalyzed and leveraged and catapulted because of COVID, but it's not going away once, God willing, COVID goes away. It's an industry that is here to stay, and we are poised to be one of the key players in the industry because we have a leading technology. We're patent penned technology that is it's second to none, And again, I think we've made the right choice in not hitching our horse to any one particular wagon when it comes to hardware. There'll be a lot of movement within the hardware industry over the upcoming months and years, and we're positioned to take advantage of whichever hardware manufacturers come out the other side, the winners of that. And I think the other key point is that our technology is so malleable to a wide range of maladies. We can literally deal with every sort of chronic disease out there. And again, we like to point to the Livongo model and the successes that they've had. We've learned a lot from that, but we also see some areas in which we can improve on what they've done. One of them being the fact that they're focused solely on diabetes, and that's fine. That's a gigantic market, and in and of itself is enough to build a company. Look at Livongo, but ours is applicable to many other chronic diseases over and above that. Secondly, our automation, our ability to do what Livongo has done, but do it in an automated fashion. So we've taken the human error out of the equation. So we've taken what we see as being one of the most successful business models in this particular space here and now, and we think that we're actually improving upon it.
Okay, excellent. On that note, gentlemen, thank you, and I want to catch up with you on for the next big news event coming up.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Okay, let's get ready for our next presenter. Like a lot of exciting stuff happening in the health tech space. I think this is going to be, again, big theme for 2021, health tech. Let's look at another hot theme, digital identity. David.
Hi, Jack. How are you?
Fantastic. Get the camera you a little bit more center. So maybe I think the camera should be lower. Yeah, I think it's above your head.
Now you want it lower. Last
eye
interview,
level.
now I'm making it a little lower. There we go. How's that?
Or I think it's okay. So I think it needs to be. Where is it? Okay. Okay. Is the camera above you? I think the camera is higher, right?
No, the camera's at my eye level.
Okay. So, I see. Okay. No. I see what's going on. Okay. Okay. So basically, so you're looking at the cat. You're doing the same thing.
I'm looking up. I'm gonna look down a little bit.
The screen, yeah, look down because this. Okay. So now we're making right now. Okay. So
yeah, there you go.
Because we need you to look at the audience and
I hear you loud.
What's going to happen with the liquid avatar? When is this thing going to go to $20? That's the idea.
Oh, that's the question. But let's start by saying everybody should do their own due diligence. I mean, it's a very
not a recommendation to buy or sell.
Right, exactly. It's a very exciting day. Today we launched Liquid Avatar, and it's been a fantastic day so far.
Okay, so let me get started here. We got let me get set things. Okay, so I make sure I have the right new name on the screen. Liquid Avatar. This is the new official name.
No, it's still KABN, which is fine, but we're changing the name. You can put Liquid Avatar. It's no problem.
So I have KABN. Okay, so I have KABN up there, and let me see. Okay, everything is good. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream, February 18th, 2021. And we are back with, I was going to say KABN, but it's really Liquid Avatar now. Stock symbol is KABN still on the CSE, TRWRF. Company doing very exciting things in the digital identity space, massive market opportunity. We're going to find out about that. And again, we're looking for those stocks which have 10x to 100x upside potential, big market opportunities, multiple catalysts in place, and companies right now at a key inflection point. I think you'll agree that KABN meets those three, and today is the inflection point, right? Today is going to be the launch of the app, so everything is kind of lined up. So please, again, the main thing we want to do with these live chats is for you people in the audience to ask the CEO, David Lukacs, your questions, and then decide for yourself if Liquid Avatar, KBN is going to be that next 10 bagger. The stock is already up, I think 3x since you debuted. Let's see what's in store. David, with that intro alone, welcome back.
Thanks, Jack. Great to be here.
So, David, let's kind of jump right into it. You're launching. You're gonna, before I get into the launch of the product, because that's the main event, right? Is the market you're addressing is digital identity. Why is this such a hot topic, and where do you fit in? Where does Liquid Avatar fit into this?
And that's a great question, Jack. Digital identity is going to be affecting everyone. The laws in Europe, the laws in California, the changing laws in the Canadian landscape are all pointing towards the fact that users are going to manage their own online identity and data. So if you think about that equation, digital identity is effectively the fourth leg of the chair of the internet. The first leg being search, the second leg being communication, third browser usage, and everyone online will have to have some type of digital identity. That now affects 5 billion people online. So the market's addressable, we believe, to 100% of the online market, and we believe we have an amazing solution to capture part of that market.
Okay, so you got the first part of our three-part equation to being a super stock. You got the big market opportunity. You have 5 billion people or whatever. I don't know if you can get any bigger than that. Anybody who's online, needs secure digital identity. Okay, so what are you doing? What's your solution? What are you doing that's unique?
Well, if you think about digital identity,
you're going to show us actually today, right?
Yeah, I'm going to show you. First, I'll explain it, then I'll show it. So, Liquid Avatar is a phased-in approach. We're really building a utility, and again, going back to those four legs of a chair, each one of those is a utility, but yet they're used by millions and hundreds of millions and billions of people. So, digital identity is got to be supported by some kind of utility. And we're building utility. But what we've done, which is different, and one of the first to do this, is we've built this utility, which is we think of as a as a granule or a pill, and we've sort of coated it in peanut butter. We're trying to make it fun and engaging. So I'm gonna just show you a little bit about what we're doing and try and share my screen and see share screen, and just bear with me because it's going to take a sec. And I got to just open it up. I apologize. Let's see if I can do that. I don't know if you can see my screen now. Maybe not.
Not yet.
Okay, let's see if I can. It's giving me a little bit of grief. It's not showing the panel. Let's see if I can see. Oh, there we go. I can see it now. There we go. So can you see that now?
Okay, I see. Here we go. Okay. Okay, I got looks like a
can you see
that?
Sorry? That is exactly what it is. Yep. So what I'm showing you is my application on my phone. So I've already signed into Liquid Avatar, and now what I've got is I've got my avatar in the top right-hand corner, and then I've got my ability to navigate this dashboard. And just pardon me while I put my glasses on. And I can customize my avatar to what I want it to be. So if I want to go in, edit my avatar, I can change. Now I've set my avatar for male when I originally did this, but we're gender neutral. So I can change my skin tones, and maybe I want to be more metallic and robotic. Maybe I want to have a sort of a very close crop. Maybe I want my eyes to be, let's just pick something here. Oh, that looks a little bit scary. And that's my brows, and I get to my eyes, and I want my eyes to be, very, I can play with this as much as I want. Chin, do everything else. And this is the first of many avatars that you'll be able to have. So, in our platform, you'll be able to have multiple avatars representing different facets of your personality. And as you share your avatar, you'll have community members that you can integrate with. And I can go back and talk to my community and share information with them. And that seems to be, there we go. And it's coming shortly, and whenever in our upcoming releases, you'll have your digital wallets. You can sign up for our KABN Visa card. You can also view offers and participate in online e-commerce that with vendors who want to reach you because you're a known user. And again, so I can go through and see these offers, and I get cash back and great deals from offers and opportunities. And I can share and read my avatar. So the real key here is getting used to creating an avatar in phase 1, getting used to sharing your avatar. So I can share my avatar. It just might take a second to come up. Obviously, everything is being stubborn. Come on. Oh, I seem to be locked out a little bit here. So I apologize, but I seem to be locked out a bit here. There we go. So I could share my avatar. And so when I share it from my email address, and it shares my image and a messaging, and I can share it with people. If you have a Liquid avatar, it'll ingest your avatar immediately into the system, into your community. And if you don't, it has a link so you can download our product. So at the end of the day, this is the first phase, and I can create the things that I want to share with people, and what I want to share and how I want to share that. So the first phase is all about creating the ability to sign in biometrically, create your account, create your Liquid avatar, learn to share your Liquid avatar, and learn to attach information to that Liquid avatar. That is the first phase of the product. Okay.
Okay, so but basically you need to use a biometric to get access to this, right?
Right. You need this is really important. That's a good point, Jack. Okay. We sign in with our face. We use your phone's camera to sign into. We're a cloud-based service. So we use your facial recognition to sign in, which means one user, one account. That's really important, because now we have known verified users in our ecosystem. Those known verified users have extreme value to themselves and to our vendor partners. If you think about it, those that market online, and I'm sure some of the listeners have done marketing online, you go to do a social media campaign, and you know that your engagement is going to be really tiny, simply because many of those users might be fakes, they might be duplicates, they might be all kinds of things. In our system, it's one user, one account. So everyone's a known user. So vendors are coming to us and saying, hey, can we reach known users? Because it's more efficient, more effective. We can give them better deals if we know they're real. That's really important. So from an economic or revenue standpoint, that's really important. For the user, this is a no-cost application that they can have to protect their digital identity. Our wallet is coming in phase 3. Phase 2 launches next month. Phase 3 launches end of April. And that wallet will allow them to keep credentials free of charge and control all their online data the way they want to control it.
Okay, so you verify the biometric, whose kind of car they want, and then from there they're kind of like that's verifiable, and can they change avatars?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's two things coming. In the second release, they'll have the ability to, one, they can always change avatars, and they can create multiple avatars. So I might want an avatar for work. I may want an avatar for school. I might want an avatar for my family. And I want to connect different things to those avatars. I don't want the people at work to have my Facebook account, but I want my family to have my Facebook account. So every time I share my avatar, my Facebook information goes with that in my family avatar. So it's really about sharing what you want, when you want, and with whom you want. This is the future. And I know that we all talk about, our interpretation of the future, but we are all as individuals moving faster towards the point where we'll be our digital life will actually have more information than our physical life. And governments are starting to look at digital credentials. If anybody's reading about the Ontario government, they're expecting to issue a digital credential by the end of the year. So we're seeing digital credentials being created. The Good Health Pass that just came out in support of with an organization we belong to, Trust Over IP Foundation. So there's a lot of things going on, and COVID. We're working with labs because, again, for a COVID test, we've seen this at the Toronto airport. You have to produce test results. Someone was arrested for producing false results. They didn't belong to them. So it's not only getting the result. Can you prove that result belongs to you? It has to belong to you. So it's all about these digital connections. It's all about taking your wallet that you use in the real world and your keys that you use in the real world, those two things, and bringing them online in a manner in which you control. One other thing I want to mention is we're all cloud-based. We're not edge-based. And what's the difference? An edge-based wallet is something that sits on your phone. And if anyone's ever lost a cryptocurrency wallet or can't get in, it's an edge-based wallet. If you lose your phone, you lose your wallet. Ours is all cloud-based. All your credentials, all your information is biometrically controlled and stored on the cloud. It's a more expensive solution, but we've designed it so it's still free of charge to the user.
Okay, and David, so here's the economics. Can you address the business model economics again for anybody that's new?
Sure, it's pretty easy. It's in fact, it's so simple. Marketers want to reach real users. Okay, you want to make sure that the people listening today are real. Watching are real. Marketers want to reach real users. To date, they've had problems. They use outlets online that are fraught with identity fraud. They're fakes. There's bots. In our ecosystem, every person in our ecosystem is a known, verified user, a real person that sets their permissions for creating value. We can't sell or rent data, so we bring offers to them in our offer section and other ways to bring them offers. And marketers will provide better deals to reach known users. When a user connects with that marketer and creates an action, we get paid.
Okay, and how much?
It depends. Some are much higher than others. For financial services, it can be in tens or hundreds of dollars. For retail, it can be small percentages. But we've done studies, and again, these are our internal studies based on our team's expertise, and we think that a user could be worth $13 to $40 a year in revenue as we go. But there's also the enterprise value of a user. If you look at the industry, enterprise value of users run somewhere between $100 and $1,000 depending on the services they use. So even if you go weight to the low side, even if it's a couple $100, you start adding the number of users on enterprise value, and our value goes up, very quickly.
Okay, so basically, let's say you're generating $25 per user here, from the ad revenue, the marketing stuff, right? And you get magic number in the consumer space is the million. You get 1 million users, social media, whatever, you're on the map. So, so that's 25 million revenues. And again, I don't want to get multiples. We know what the multiples are off the charts. 30x, 40, whatever, it's $1 billion plus value to get to 1 million users.
Exactly.
So that I think everybody wants to know is, okay, can Liquid Avatar, can KABN get to the users? David, what's the kind of plan for the rollout? How are you going to be rolling this out in the coming weeks, months? What's the plan?
So in terms of the product plan, we're rolling it out in phases. In our release today, you can see the different phases. We're adding more and more meat on the bone as we go. This is the foundational release. We've also hired a number of really key agencies in the space, some of the top agencies to help us that have worked with some of the largest dating apps, some of the largest content distribution apps. And they've never seen, in my opinion, they've never seen anything like this. They've never seen an app that they've worked with that has opportunities to reach 100% of the market on a utility basis. So again, today is day one, and but over the coming weeks, you're going to see a lot of news flow about what we're doing, and we're doing a lot of outreach, a lot of partner programs. We're, again, just looking at the lab industry alone, we were on the phone a few days ago with a group that wants to integrate our solution, and they cover 1.5 million employees and their families. So the numbers become exponential to us very quickly because we're a utility. Again, we're a utility that everyone can use, and we're a utility that in some form or another in our industry, everyone will have to use. There won't be a choice here. So it's sort of, again, the fourth leg of a chair. So we're very confident that we can reach 1 million to 2 million users in a relatively reasonable period of time.
Okay, let's jump into audience questions. Alan is asking, having multiple avatars creates confusion. You never know who you're dealing with because avatar can change constantly. I think probably a lot of people are asking that. So if there are multiple, somebody know which one is.
Well, no, because you're going to be able to discern within the system what avatar you're using for what. You're going to have a work avatar. You're going to have a gaming avatar. You're going to have a family avatar. You'll have different community groups, different opportunities to do that. And actually, it's a safety net. I don't want to share certain information with the guys I play games with or guys I talk about sports with. I don't. So it's actually a safety net to control what you want to share, when you want to share it, and with whom you want to share it with. Again, it's new and innovative. We've done a lot of research and studies before we took this position. Now, you may choose to have only one avatar. That's your choice, one avatar. But you may choose to have 9. That's your choice too. You don't have to. It's up to the individual.
Okay. We got a question. Okay, so different avatars for different purposes. Okay, gets that. What happens if I've forgotten which avatar I use in my wallet? Is this like forgetting passwords for a specific?
No. It's all going to be user friendly and customer controlled. I mean, what we're concerned with, and that's a great question with the wallet, is what happens if you have 20 wallets? What happens if you have a government wallet and a banking wallet and this wallet? We're actually investigating right now the ability to create dashboards so you can manage all your credentials, and your credentials would be then connected to avatars, and the avatar icons would be next to your credential. The way to deal with this is very simple. I wouldn't get hung up on multiple avatars. It's actually a benefit, but again, you can have one avatar connected to everything. Depends on how complex you want to be. We're giving people flexibility, but at their choice.
Here's a great question. What about just a profile picture?
Absolutely. You're going to have the opportunity to upload your own profile picture for your avatar, not just our avatar. You'll have to conform to the rules of the road, but everyone's going to be allowed to upload their picture. And what happens is if it is a real picture, what if it's a collectible? What if it's picture of my dog? We want to give people freedom of choice. That is really important. Again, the entire platform is being built for you, not for us. And so we have to build in things like data guardianship. What happens to your data if you're incapacitated or no longer around? What happens if you have children in the house that are minors? We're building in features like data guardianship so these things are protected, so people can get to your data in the event of an emergency. You can control that as well.
David, let's kind of wrap up here in terms of news flow upcoming, catalysts. What's in the pipeline for the next 8 weeks in terms of the rollout, and what other news can we be looking forward to right now?
Well, we'll be updating the rollout. We'll be updating partnership announcements, some really cool opportunities. I mean, the future for us with Liquid Avatars, we're currently exploring the NFT market. I mean, you can imagine that's on fire.
What's NFT?
Non-fungible tokens. If anybody has seen Top Shops by Dapper Labs,
okay.
we're looking at Liquid Avatars as non-fungible tokens in the blockchain industry. We're investing in further AR opportunities. We're working with a lot of partners who want to issue credentials. There's a lot of news flow that we've got in the hopper already.
Okay, let me just go to a couple more audience because I got some interesting.
This is a really good question. What kind of IDs can be stored COVID? What is the stance of the Ontario and BC government and digital IDs needed? Is there something in the works with the government that I can't comment on the last part, but we're in full agreement with the stance of the Ontario government and the BC government on their digital identity. We think that's a very smart move. We think that's a very leadership move, and we're all in support of that. With respect to COVID, we're actively involved in, again, connecting tests to the user. That's something that we've been approached about, and we're actively working on, is being able to connect your test result to your individual user.
Okay, great question. This, I think, Larry's asking. I can imagine an ecosystem is built with connections between users. How mature is the ecosystem? In other words, the network. I think this is what he's asking himself, because this is literally the $1 billion question. I think can you build that network?
Yeah. So our team in the past, our past teams have built ecosystems that have handled 250 million people, and I was actively involved. When Kleiner Perkins was selling, I believe it was Kleiner Perkins, we're selling MySpace. So we understand this industry and the social connections. We understand the influencer connections, the verifier connections. In an ecosystem, we're going to be help building ecosystems where there are issuers, there are verifiers, and there are holders. So we see this opportunity as expansive, and by using blockchain and cryptography, we can build expansive markets very effectively.
Okay. The last question, our favorite here again. Now, in your opinion, right now, top 3 reasons why investors should consider Avatar, KABN.
So I think the first is the size of the market. We've talked about that. The market is effectively or addressable to our products are addressable to 100% of the online market. Second is, as your previous guest said, we have an amazing team of people. And third is the time is now. Digital identity is at the forefront of all the discussions you see out there, whether it's governmental, whether it's commercial, whether it's educational based informational services, corporate, getting people back to work. Digital identity will play a part. So we think we're in the right space, we all say, we're in the right space at the right time.
Important. I mean, the thing is, inflection point timing is everything.
Exactly.
It really is. It's like, seizing the opportunity. So on that note, David, thank you. And let's catch up for the next big news announcement.
You got it, Jack. Thank you so much.
Thank you again. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Well, there's a lot of action in these stocks today. Okay, let's get ready for our next presenter. Really medical. Okay, hopefully we're gonna have a good demo today. I'm looking forward to a great demo day. This should be interesting. Clark.
Jack, good to see you.
Mask, what do you got? Where are you?
You got to keep the mask on. Well, I'm in the lab, so we've been scaling up aggressively the last little bit here, and so we are in a COVID exempt business, but we are a packed house, and so got to keep the masks on at all times unless you're behind closed doors.
Okay, excellent. So, excuse me. What are we doing a demo? We're gonna have Dr. Greenberg on. We
got Dr. Greenberg. He's okay. Ready, logged in on the other side there, and okay. And we've got a good demo video for you that he can walk through, and you can see really how this works.
Okay. Now I actually do have so I have the video here. I can share. Now is he logged in? Can he? Because I don't see him.
I believe he is. Let me just make sure.
I don't see him on the thing here yet.
Yeah, he probably just needs to click through. I know he was just preparing and getting the demo ready and okay. The device ready for the presentation, so he'll be there.
And yeah, because I want him to talk because he invented he's the kind of inventor of the technology.
He's the inventor, and
here it is. I think he's here. Here he is, Dr. Greenberg.
There he is, Dr. Greenberg.
I just want to get you more into Dr. Greenberg. I want to get you more into the
there he is.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so what now? I do have the video, so I think. How are we going to do? Are we going to do the demo with the video when Dr. Greenberg is going to talk, explain it, or how do you?
However you wish to do it, what makes the most sense for you and your listeners. Before we do the video, I should just set it up a little bit. So if you'd like to start with the video, give me a moment.
No. I want to start. I'll start with you guys, and then we'll talk about the video. So I just want to make sure we get everything ready and then we can cover everything. So let me do the quick intro. We got a lot of new people in the audience. So. Welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's Investors Discovery Day live stream, February 18th. We're back with Relay Medical, a very exciting company in the health tech space. And of course, as you know, we're looking for those stocks with 10x to 100x upside potential. We've seen already a number of 10 baggers, even a 20, a couple of two stocks that are up 20 in the last 18 months. Both are actually in the health space. We had Cytodyne and right now Empower Clinics. So the healthcare space is very auspicious for producing big stocks with big upsides. So again, we're looking for those stocks which have massive market opportunities at a key inflection point, multiple catalysts. Right now, Relay is touching all three of those points. So I think the point of today's live stream is please ask Clark your questions, ask Dr. Greenberg your questions, and then decide for yourself if this is going to be that next super stock. So with that said, gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Clark, we met you on the last live stream. We had a slight internet thing on our end, so we didn't get as much with you as possible. But I'd like to kind of start off with you're the CEO of the company, right? And
I'm the president.
The president, Dr. Greenberg is the CEO. Okay, we gotta put the tags up. We gotta put the tags up there. Okay, so Dr. Greenberg, I want to ask you. You actually invented the technology, right?
Yes, Mike. Yes, we did.
Okay, so can you talk about kind of like your background and how and why the FIO technology came into being, and then kind of what you see as the opportunity, and maybe Clark, if you want to add anything, Mark, that'd be great.
Yeah, and Clark and I routinely finish each other's thoughts, so Clark will jump in and I'll do likewise. My background is I trained in neurosurgery in the US and Canada. Just at the end of that, I decided I wanted to build some technology and ended up becoming an entrepreneur, built the world's largest medical imaging software company, and took the company public on NASDAQ and also on the Toronto Stock Exchange. About 3.5 years after our initial institutional investors invested, and at 10 times the share price. And the company was ultimately purchased for over $500 million, give or take 50, 60 times the original share price. So even though I'm a doctor and people call me that,
wait, back up. So this is very important. So you have a track record of delivering 50x already.
Yeah, and also a number of other companies. We built all med tech and all successful various kinds of exits. Met Clark, and I'll get into this company in a second, but I just want to say that I met Clark and the team, and it was like musicians that instantly knew how to play something powerful together, and that's what we're doing here. So that's my background. I'm really a businessman who has a medical degree as opposed to a doctor who became an entrepreneur, but who the hell knows, and it doesn't matter. FIONet, this platform we have here, was created to manage pandemics. We got a head start on managing pandemics by going to where the pandemics were and perfecting the technology, developing experience with 1 million patients in a variety of pandemics, ranging from Ebola to HIV and a number of other diseases. The platform is disease agnostic. Doesn't matter what the disease is. The platform allows the management of testing and triage and tracking, without which we will never get control of any pandemic, including COVID. It allows that to be done not in hospitals, but in communities where the people are actually sick. It is indispensable to manage a pandemic from community settings, and that's what we developed this platform for. When COVID hit, we teamed up with our good friends at Relay in order to bring this to North America and Europe.
So essentially, what you have is it's a pure play on pandemics. It's a pandemic management. It's a turnkey pandemic management system. Oh, hang
Your
on.
voice is, I'm sorry, but I couldn't hear. Clark, did you hear the question?
It was just cut out there, Jack. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I think we may have some feedback. If there's like, so I may have to mute some of the mics because there's sometimes a feedback loop with three computers. But okay, so let me try to mute. Okay, but so I was saying basically that Relay essentially is kind of like a pure play pandemics. It's a turnkey pandemic management system, a technology, pandemic technology.
Yeah. And what it allows you to, but the key part of it is that it works where people live and work. It's meant not for hospitals because there's only a few hospitals. It's meant for workplaces. It's meant for office towers, manufacturing plants, airports, border crossings, schools, pharmacies, small clinics, doctors' offices, wherever populations can be accessed within minutes. That's not hospitals. That's where our technology works, and that's where we're deploying it.
Okay.
And that's
the key thing for us in getting involved in is that this is something that's been proven. This is something that has been deployed, has been scaled, has clearly by third-party analysis been beneficial and superior to lab-based testing in certain regions because you're able to test them at point of care. And the key thing that was really intriguing to me in this technology is this was cutting edge technology 5 years ago to go into the worst possible places to operate and to test. You're talking about places with sanitary issues, lighting issues, people issues. You're in areas that there's no real organized government or healthcare systems, and this was successful in doing that. This is really bringing that standard of care that we're used to having in North America and some of the other places around the world that have kind of that level of medicine to these places that didn't in the most critical of times. COVID, we can't, we're not going to belittle COVID or underplay what it's doing to the country, the economy, the mental health of everyone, all these things. But I can tell you that you would be hard pressed to find someone who would rather have Ebola over COVID or malaria or HIV or these things that are just super critical issues that you effectively, by using our device, test in the same way. And so 1 million patients have been tested with this: Ebola, malaria, listeria, you name it. And now it's taking that product that was developed, that platform that was developed to operate in the toughest spaces and deploying them in the most ideal spaces, which is what we're dealing with now in Canada and the US.
I want to, so just, for people who are not familiar with, like some of the kind of the industry terms that you guys are using. Okay, so point of care. So in other words, I kind of use it as like in the retail world, like it's like point of sale. So basically you're getting people, out in the field. So like at the airport, wherever it is, they can take the test and you can track it there, and that's how you're able to manage it. So is that correct?
That's exactly correct.
Okay, and how much of a difference is that? Why is that a big, like, just, in layman's terms, why is this important? Like, in other words, I guess what I really want to ask is, what's the hot button for governments, whatever institutions, to want to invest in, buying millions of, buying your technology?
If governments have so far, and I'm not criticizing any of them, but governments have so far not clawed us back into safety from the economic precipices. We are not safe from further economic decline, and I could probably use a stronger word like devastation. We're in the midst of it. There's a lot of people, the three of us here are comfortable. There are a lot of people who are economically not at all. The only way to do that is to get airplanes flying, to get workers working. when workers show up at work, who knows if they have or don't have COVID? If they had the test a week ago at some hospital and show up at work, does that actually do anything? Or should they be tested on their way in? If you had a test 6 months ago and you're COVID free, should you be getting into an airplane and flying with several hundred other people? Would they want to fly with you? Would the airlines run that risk? So there's huge swaths of the economy that depend on people who have been tested negative to get on with living again, to get on with working again. In order to do that, you need to be able to do testing at what you called just now, what you talked about, which is the point of care or the point of need. So the problems I just solved will not be, or rather the problems I just mentioned will not be solved by testing anywhere other than in the community. We are now in a world where we have to take what hospitals can do, make it mobile, make it fast, make it inexpensive, and make it available anywhere. We've done that because we had to do it before, and it turns out it's key here.
Should we show a demo, like the video?
Let me just say one thing about it, and then please run it. So not to get too technical, but there are different kinds of testing. One is called a PCR. It's a bunch of words, but what a PCR is, it's the current standard of care. A PCR costs between $20,000 and $40,000, and it can do about one test an hour. Our technology can do 60 tests an hour, 60. Now, if you want to get to populations, let me just translate that for you. So if we want to do 600,000 people in a day, maybe a number of factories plus some airports, Pearson used to fly 130,000 people a day. So if you want to test 600,000 people an hour, or rather a day, you would need approximately 6,000 PCRs at a cost of $20 million, or 100 of our devices at a negligible cost.
Okay.
The way we do, you see that. So we can really, what we do is we extend, we project the healthcare capability into mass numbers. Another way to think about it, and that leads directly to what we're going to show you, is, the early cars used to be handmade from start to finish. They could do a couple of cars. They were very nice cars, perfectly done, handmade. Henry Ford made himself a billionaire and transformed the economy by figuring out something called an assembly line. There was a subsequent revolution that even made it bigger, called automation. What we've done and what you're about to see is the application of assembly line techniques and automation to testing. And that is how we can get the numbers to 600,000 with just 100 devices at a negligible cost, meaning it's available for everybody at any time, versus hundreds of millions of dollars and an impossible number of devices that are currently mostly laboratory based. So if you run the video, I'll try to describe what you see. All right. Okay. So this is
let me start. Okay. So here we go.
Okay. There you go. So this is an assembly line. This could be at an airport. It could be at a factory entrance. It could be at an office tower. The guy on the right is taking tubes from that pink thing, that little pink box. The tubes have the nasal swab that was collected elsewhere. Each nasal swab has a barcode so that it's uniquely identified. He's taken one out right now. He's scanning the tube with a barcode reader. On the device in front of him there is a rapid diagnostic test, an RDT, the thing that we read. He's putting in the nasal swab contents. All of this has to be done accurately and correctly. And then it looks like the video stopped, but he then puts it into the assembly line just in front of him. Mine is frozen. Okay. And he slides it. There's a complex factor called incubation time and other kinds of things that are automatically taken care of by the structure of that assembly line. That rapid diagnostic test is then put into the machine. It is perfectly timed so that the results are accurate. And it is also imaged so that an archive exists. And so each of those two workers working together can do with one device 60 tests an hour, 60. And and the device itself automates many of the processes. So the automation actually occurs inside of that device, and the assembly line was how we broke up the work and really made a breakthrough in terms of the number of people that you could test an hour. The last thing to mention is that the cost to the user of this is, dollars per test. So it is economically feasible, it is logistically feasible, and it works anywhere. And it's been proven, as Clark said, 1 million times in rough and tough parts of the world against diseases that you'd never want to know about.
Okay, so the model. Okay, so essentially, so you're doing. Okay, so the device. What exactly does it do? How does the whole thing work? Like, and how does the business model work?
Business model is that we price it per test, so per transaction. So it is it's like most of the other business models one would want to invest in. It's a per transaction based model. Each person tested pays a relatively small amount of money, and yet because of the sheer volumes, the very thing that makes this logistically possible also makes it an attractive business model for us. What the device does is it organizes the workflow, it tracks the workflow, it captures using any cell network anywhere, securely transmits data to all stakeholders, including public health, including the people tested, including the employer, including the airlines if it's to do with flights. And it archives all of it so that it's also available for the governments to plan how to manage a pandemic with precision and with timeliness. Everything is geolocalized, and heat maps are constantly generated and run. Okay. So it is a pandemic management system, not just a test.
Okay. Now, so Dr. Groomer, so that I understand, basically what you're really doing is you're taking the test, which is, let's call it the analog piece, and you're putting it into the digital system. So essentially, you're taking the analog system where it's actually valuable and useful. So the airline can see exactly, automatically it takes out all the friction of people have, I don't know, show this or that, and they see, boom, right here. Here's a list of the passengers that have been screened. This guy's good. This guy's good. That's what you do basically.
Yeah. Add to that two things. One is that think about taking a life and death process out of a hospital and putting it into point of need anywhere. Your biggest concern would be quality control. So the device watches over everything and catches every error, corrects it, and reports on it. So in order to make it available for everybody, we didn't lower quality, we raised quality. And the quality matches what would have happened in a hospital, except no longer necessary. And the second thing is it captures data that allows our clients to run their operations with regard to healthcare testing, which is now going to be a part of operations, just like post 9/11 security became a part of operations. It allows them to run that with data, so they could run it effectively and economically.
So basically, so this is actually one of the this sounds like a boring thing, but like the biggest, the most profitable areas in technology are things which essentially turn like the analog physical world into data. That's always so this is so basically what you're really doing is, okay, I get it now. Essentially this gets all these tests into actually a format that's usable, and by, again, what you call stakeholders, whether it's government, airlines, whoever needs thousands of tests, and it's all basically it's standardized, so we know there's no error. It's all it's uniformity. It's actually usable.
Yeah, we're the first to be able to bring large-scale mass testing into the community with quality control. The same technology that gives you the quality control captures all the data, and we monetize that as well.
Okay, and just to back up, I think you said some very interesting things. You've actually deployed this. This has been deployed. This is not like some crazy invention. This has actually been deployed in the real world. With millions of tests. Give us the whole kind of some case studies where it's been used.
Sure.
And what they're for.
Sure. In Colombia, there was a horrible outbreak called dengue. You wouldn't want it. It was in one of their large cities. Our devices mobile, healthcare workers went into neighborhoods where there was this tremendous outbreak. They did testing apartment house by apartment house. And since our technology also prints out heat maps, they were able to follow concentration gradients, pinpointed exactly the source of the outbreak, drained it. It was a small swamp, and the outbreak disappeared. So in addition to diagnosing and treating patients, the government used it to shut down the pandemic.
Okay, and you've also done this, I think, in Africa, right?
Oh yeah, we've done it in Africa. The Gates Foundation called us to help out when Ebola was wreaking havoc in West Africa. The U.S. Department of Defense has deployed it for some biothreat surveillance in 4 different continents. HIV, the worst pandemic of HIV in the world was in South Africa. The president of South Africa supported our deployment there, and malaria in East Africa, and I'm sure there are others. I'm just not thinking about it, but they're all the same thing, same technology. As I said, it's disease agnostic. And by the way, people sitting in Bethesda, Maryland, near the National Institutes of Health, could see moment-to-moment, meter-to-meter progress of the eradication of a pandemic that was our devices were helping in a continent away. Because
so real instant gratification, basically.
Yeah. If you see the data immediately, you can respond immediately. And that is why we still are dealing with this pandemic here. We haven't been able to respond in real time.
Okay. And just to ask, okay, so let's say COVID, let's say that goes away. How many, is this something ongoing that there's always pandemics, there's always, in other words, I guess the question for investors is, okay, is this like a one-shot deal, or is this going to be something that's going to be continuously needed for the next 20 years?
So, I'll speak to healthcare markets right now. So first of all, we're talking to a lot of senior officials ranging from, healthcare people to people who manage billion-dollar-a-year businesses. Nobody sees COVID going away anytime too soon. Right. And most of them do refer to COVID as a 9/11 event. In other words, everything will change forever. Think about the security industry. In towers and airports, you could walk onto your airplane. It's been, a long time, 20 years since 9/11, and we're still doing it. So it'll become part of life. Number 2, what COVID is triggering is a mass market shift in healthcare, a massive shift. And that shift is the decentralization of services. In other words, things that could only be done in hospitals will now be done in pharmacies. Pharmacies, sell groceries. They do expand their business. In the US, there's 4,000 hospitals, there's 67,000 pharmacies. Pharmacists are the most overtrained healthcare professionals there are in the world for what they do. So they are now doing testing, and I don't think that will stop. They didn't used to be doing testing. So our technology basically allows high quality, digitized healthcare to occur outside of hospitals at almost the same level as inside of hospitals. That is a mega trend, and the decentralized healthcare sector globally is approximately $5 trillion a year, and this directly serves that sector.
It sounds. I mean, it sounds like, you know, again, the right place at the right time. Clark, I want to. You have the device. I think you still have it there.
Do I have it? I think Michael's got it.
I want to do a show and tell because we saw the video, but this is okay. So we got okay.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
No, it's great. How does it connect? Is it like a Wi-Fi? How does it connect to the system?
So because we had to build it for places where there wasn't connectivity, it connects in any way imaginable. If there's a Wi-Fi, it'll do Wi-Fi. If there's an internet, it'll do internet. If there's none of that, it automatically scans for any cell signal, grabs hold of it, and securely with encryption transmits. So any place that has a cell phone, never mind any other infrastructure, this works.
Okay, so it's very robust. I mean, it's really designed for, again, you've deployed in the developing world. I mean, it's
the military tested it by dropping it about 50 times on concrete at 2 meters, and they wouldn't have done the contract with us if after 50 drops they couldn't just turn it on and have it work. So it's a lovely looking device. It's built to military specs.
Okay, so it survived the drop test 50 times. That's a lot of times.
Onto concrete at 2 meters.
Wow. Okay, it's like the old Timex commercial. Takes cooking and
they baked it. They put it into 100% humidity, poured sand over it. They tried to beat this poor thing up, but it kept working.
Okay. So let's talk about the business model. I don't know who like, how do you guys make money? What's the upside potential? Like how and what other uses are there? You know, for deploying really the technology. It's what you have really is a technology platform. It goes beyond just, okay. So talk about the big picture. I think that investors want to know, like, how big can this be? How fast can it scale? That type of thing. So whoever wants to take that question. Clark?
Michael, you're on a roll. Why don't you tell us? I'll take the last question on summarizing this, but Michael, why don't you you can really verbalize the scale of this, and if you miss anything, I'm happy to fill in.
Thank you, Clark. Although I enjoy hearing you more than myself, but all right. So the business model is a per click fee, so to speak, except these aren't clicks, so it's considered a per test fee. The rationale for that is that for anyone, like software, for any one buyer, it may not be a lot of money. For the mass of users, it is a lot of money for us. So what's not a lot of money for the user turns out to be a ton of money for us. If we're talking about, you could do arithmetic and depends on volumes, all kinds of stuff. But if a facility is doing 6,000 tests per day, because they may have that many staff in an airport, the number is way higher. At $3 per test, that's tens of thousands of dollars per day for us. So that is the financial model. There are certain niceties about it that we could talk about later. In terms of the market, I think the post-COVID market is roughly $80 billion. Because I just mentioned there's
Relay Medical, $80 billion for Relay Medical or total?
Well, the total market for a platform that does what we do, I think, is approximately that globally. It's a global platform. So all players together, I think we are first movers. But more importantly, we'll shortly be first to scale. I always like being first mover, but I always love being first to scale because there are then network effects and there's the potential to become a standard. That's always the goal. So I think we have, I think we're it's a virgin continent, and I think we've landed, and I think we have the gear and the equipment and the scalability to take a large part of that continent. Now, with such a large continent, I'm sure there'll be lots of followers, but there's lots of room, I think. And then there's probably going to be, I mean, with this, we're talking about stock markets, there's also going to be lots of opportunities for exits. For the mega companies who want to move into digitized, decentralized healthcare, they'll do what they normally do, which is to buy companies. But we aim to build this as big as we can, as fast as we can.
Yeah, it's something you said, something very interesting. First to scale versus first to market. That's really the formula for Facebook, for Google. That's the magic. That's kind of the magic formula here. So basically,
we're not shy about that. That's our goal. That's what we're doing. It's more than a goal.
Okay, so you actually are first. So you're basically first to market now, but the goal is to be first to scale with this. And to be attractive for a big player to buy.
We shortly will. Yeah, we shortly will be. We shortly will be first to scale.
Okay. And okay, how fast can you get traction in the market? I mean, like, do you have any projections? Like, what can you be doing in revenues? Let's say, is it possible to make a projection at this point? Like, 12 months out, like, what kind of numbers can you generate?
It's possible to make a projection, but it's not possible to provide it. We are working on a number. We're approaching this very strategically, and we're working on a couple of very important deployments, which will then lead to others. So yeah, we're deep. We've been fortunate to be recognized by potential clients, and we're converting those right now, and then also building the capacity to scale for those clients, and then others like them. Okay. We've identified. Go ahead.
So who's your customer? Who's your customer? Is it airlines, bank, government? Who's writing the check?
So we've identified approximately 24 markets. So we may also partner up with other companies to serve them. So I'll just mention a few of them. But so one is the airport market. What we've targeted strategically is any market that itself enables huge economies either to recover or keeps them from recovering. That's what we've targeted first. So airlines, or airports rather, are critical to economic recovery. We're betting on doing well as we enable economic recovery via the provision of healthcare. But what we're really doing is enabling economic recovery. So I think there's there's obviously the airline industry. We're also keeping an eye past that, and then there's related industries, entertainment and cruising industries. Pick industries that have been hit very, very hard, whose survival depends on getting back on their feet, but can't because they don't know who has COVID and who doesn't. So wherever we go, we get a very good reception. As well, for a little bit down the line, as I mentioned before, pharmacies are very important because I think they'll be the ones that will take up testing in a large way after COVID. Prior to COVID, no pharmacy was doing testing. In the US and Canada and in the EU, Laws were passed allowing them, which means pharmacies are now getting into healthcare. Look how great they are at what they do as a business. So we're betting on that as well, and we'll be there to serve them.
Okay. I want to kind of get back to the market opportunity. So in terms of in your background, you mentioned you had an exit that was like a 50x. So how does this? I guess the question is, how does Relay compare to what that was? What business? What was the name of the company? And give us the whole. And how does Relay compare? So we'll kind of see if there's a connection to these. If lightning strike twice.
It's not, yeah, but first of all, one is always fortunate. A million times one is fortunate. But when you come to work, we are co-located, and you see how hard people here at Relay are working. It's not lightning striking, it's people striking, people sparking, people creating that energy. The first company that I built was a software company. Not very different. We made a couple of key strategic deals with key buyers, such as we're doing right now. And when they got announced, everybody else was a little surprised. And then, as always happens, other people followed, and then others followed them. And before you knew it, we were growing at 20% a quarter for 10 quarters in a row, and culminating with an exit.
Okay, and that was what? So it was. And what was the name of the company?
Cedara, like a cedar tree, CEDARA software.
Okay, and the exit was 50x from where it went public.
No, it was 50x from when the first institutional investor put in money.
Okay, so
they put in money, close enough, like $1.50 per share, and it was bought at 50 something dollars per share.
Bought out at $50. Yeah. When was that?
2004.
2000. Okay. So this $50 a share. Back then it was still real money, right? 2004.
$550 million, whatever that would be today, probably twice that. I don't know.
So I guess the audience is probably asking, okay, can a Relay Medical be? What's the path for a Relay Medical to be bought out for $50 a share? Is there such a path? What's the path to get there? Clark, anybody wants to chime in? I'm looking.
Well, I think that's it's a pretty loaded question, but I think really, if you look at specifically what we're doing right now and what makes what we're doing investable, there's really three key points that you can drive home on that. I mean, number one is from a technology risk perspective. This has been scaled. This has been deployed in the worst possible places. This has been deployed, and it was successful. And that success was documented by third party. The market is absolutely enormous, and it's a very difficult question actually to answer, because we as a company, obviously our focus has been scaling, updating the technology for new COVID tests, these type of things, and also for developing something to be operating in an atmosphere that's outside or out in the field, as compared to what we're doing in North America, which is you're looking at these key markets where you are looking to set up what is essentially an assembly line to run a bunch of tests through. You're not in a lab, but you are somewhere that is not traditionally a healthcare focused place, like as Michael's using some examples related to workplaces, manufacturing, cruise ships, airports, all those things. But the market is huge. It's enormous, and we're actually right now we're really forced to focus on the key markets that will show us the biggest ROI, because we just can't afford to run down the path of every opportunity that comes in front, no matter how big the name or how interesting the industry is. But the market's enormous, and this is not testing. It's not a testing company. It's an infrastructure company. As Michael said, this has been a defining event, COVID. Just as September 11th defined what's happened in national security and things have changed, this is a defining event for healthcare privacy, for what our expectations are around testing and sharing that data, and getting tested and screening multiple times to make sure that when you get on your flight or you get on your bus or wherever you're going, that the chances are very low that you're going to contract something. But as I say, this is about infrastructure. And our platform isn't just one device and a software, it's a whole platform that you can wire in other testing methodologies, other devices, so that you can manage everything holistically. So we can implement ourselves into a place that has, look, we're not a silver bullet. There are no silver bullets. It's going to take a number of solutions, and we have actually designed this, or I should say Michael has designed this platform to integrate with those, so we can offer holistic solutions no matter what the client, the size, shape, or the difference or specificity that's required. So the market is enormous. The third thing is, for us, the time is right. The time is right. You know, I don't know if I call Michael Kreskin or whatever, but so far he's been pretty damn good at predicting where things are going. And right now we've spent the last few months. We got a deal done. We started to work together to get this thing, to accelerate this thing towards market. The work's been done. We're well capitalized now. And what Michael had mentioned and had kind of predicted as we started this is that you're going to see a shift in these regulators, these healthcare organizations are going to shift from PCR, and there's going to be a lot of talking about antigen testing, because it's the only way that you can test and screen people in large numbers, quickly, effectively, a low error rate, results you can rely on, so that you can really get back to going to church or going to school or going to work or going to family functions and seeing your mother or your father or whomever in a senior care facility. So the technology is proven, the market is enormous, the time is right for us. And now that we are in that scale mode and that commercial mode, I think you're going to see that you know, can't make any predictions on share price. You know that that's something that we can't do, but I think you will see in a short period of time that we've generated a tremendous amount of value, and that this is not just a COVID solution. It's not a COVID play. We can test for anything. We can test using any manufacturer, and we can test as new tests, new functionalities come to market, we can implement them with our system. And I can tell you, the contracts and the clients and the solutions that we're offering, these contracts are not, or these engagements are not, let's work for the next 6 months and test because the vaccine's going to come in and everything's going to be great. It's looking at the next 5-10 years of what is now going to be, what is now a post-COVID world. We need to test, we need to screen, we need to keep our people safe, we need to get our economies back to school, back to work, we need to get things moving. Now's the time, or the damage that'll be done will not be manageable or reversible. So that's what I can offer as far as our collective value potential, and I think we're going to prove that soon. You're going to see that the momentum is on our side, and the circumstances are changing from a government regulatory standpoint to support us.
Okay. Let's jump into
one thing to Clark is vaccines are also, our platform is equally useful for tracking and following vaccines. And when you do vaccines, the only concern is the virus going to evolve away from that? Or we could do both of those.
Okay, so let's jump into some audience questions. First one is, have you teamed up with the Canadian government for these tests yet?
So our next deployment will involve Canadian government tests. That when you say Canadian government tests, maybe I shouldn't ask what the
I could probably frame it. I could probably frame it a little better, Michael. Is essentially that's an interesting question. There's multi facets to it, depending on how you interpret it. The answer of tests with the Canadian government, as Canada is set up right now, there is effectively one test in the market, one antigen test, and you've got to work with the government in order to get your hands on those tests. So that answer we could say is yes. You know, we are working with the tests that that the government has approved through various engagements. As far as partnerships or anything with the government, there is a long-standing relationship with FIO and the Canadian government from a support side in the kind of grants and that kind of area. But I think that's the only way we can answer that question for now.
Okay. Near is asking, there is some percentage error coming with PCR. What's your error percentage?
So our technology works with other tests. So when we are deployed alongside PCR, we are the infrastructure that captures, unifies the data, links it to other patient questionnaires, and then relays the data. So our device doesn't have, is not a test itself. And when we work with rapid diagnostic tests, whatever the manufacturer of that rapid diagnostic test error is, that would be ours. What we do is we assure that whether it's a PCR or especially if it's a rapid diagnostic test, when they're used, we assure that those tests perform to that manufacturer's stated levels.
So we should add there as well, Michael, just without getting too into it. But that was really, or has been really, a big value add of the technology, because RDTs are interpreted manually. They involve human beings to take the biological sample, deposit it on the test, and then interpret and record those results. Because of that, you're opening up for a lot of errors. You're also doing it in the field. So, unideal lighting circumstances and you're PPE'd up and all those things. That's really part of the key value that our device provides is it cuts down those errors. It checks, it uses machine learning and machine vision to check for not only errors by the user, but also by the manufacturer. So the error rate that is kind of well accepted in the medical community that may come along with some of these static point of care or out in the field tests. Our device has been developed, designed, and proven to actually reduce those errors down to the absolute minimum.
Okay, we get a question here. Can you provide that content? I guess the test results to a digital ID company. So we have previous guest was in the kind of digital ID space. Can you do that? Can you have like a seamless connection?
Yeah.
We sorry, Michael. You go ahead. I guess the short answer is yes, that this is something that's on our radar. Not familiar with the previous guest, although it was interesting presentation that I caught. But yes, this is very much in the field of what may be coming from us in the near future. But I'll pass it along to Michael.
Yeah, in all of our deployments, including the upcoming ones, we always integrate with other people's databases. It could be a public health database. It could be an electronic health record, and so that connectivity is built into the platform. It's one of the things the platform does. So we're constantly performing analytics, and we're constantly streaming our data to wherever our client likes to keep their data. They can also access our data anytime. And these connections are made once, and then they operate automatically from there forward. So 100% yes.
So there's this seamless connectivity, basically, to databases, the whole, and that's really the value. I mean, this is the whole, like, there's multi-billion-dollar, software companies that all they do is just, their whole business is just connecting, some one-piece thing to another, which, because of different databases, they're just not compatible. So
exactly. If you look across healthcare and look at all the uncountable amount of data that's connected from here to there, almost all of it is from hospitals. What we represent, I think, first is to capture data from non-hospitals where data is not digitized largely, capture it, analyze it, and send it off to a receiver somewhere.
Okay. Good question. Any major contracts in the pipeline? I get question of the day.
Clark, you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Clark.
Good thing, because I slipped there and I said something I shouldn't. So that's great. You're right on it, Jack. You're right on it. There's no proper way to answer the question. We're feeling very good about how things are progressing, and we're at the stage in which we will be working with larger companies here in the near term. So, as disclosure dictates, when there are partnerships that are completed and relationships that are contractually agreed to, the market will know about them.
Okay. Ramsey is asking, so you mentioned the military, I guess your product was built to military specs. Is that a military contract, or maybe if you can clarify? So I get Mike. Okay.
Sorry.
So Ramsey is asking, you mentioned the military. I think that the technology was built to military specs. He wants to clarify, was it a military contract or just built? What does that mean?
So there's a few things I can say about it. One is that its purpose is to detect biothreats that would affect the military personnel in the field. It's been used in 4 different continents. They've published some output of it. One of the interesting things that I think will also ultimately make its way into the civilian world is that whereas most of these COVID tests and others test for one thing at a time, the military developed a test that can test for 6 diseases at a time, or 9 or more. And there are some funky diseases as well that are on there, and our technology can handle that. So we also think that in time, those kinds of tests will be widespread here as well. We've already read those kinds of tests. So biothreat surveillance is probably as much as I can say.
I don't know. Okay, so if COVID test is COVID testing going to matter if we're all going to be vaccinated? Are you COVID proof? Is this a COVID past post COVID?
Well, it's a connected world. There is a lot of people going to be traveling from all kinds of countries, and the only time testing will no longer matter. I can't actually foresee that, but it's going to, until everybody is vaccinated, you're going to need testing, and everybody isn't going to be immediately vaccinated. But even after they're vaccinated, it's crucial to continue to do testing to make sure that the disease stays under control. That's how other pandemics are managed. So, and then for vaccination distribution and tracking, how do you know somebody's been vaccinated? They have to have some kind of record of it. We also can handle that. So we don't see vaccination vaccination is just another part of our business as it evolves.
Okay. Upcoming catalysts.
So from a catalyst perspective, I think the real setup here is that we've just closed our financing. We're capitalized. We've been working together to scale as soon as possible and to customize some of the features and add additional solutions for specific clients or industries. And so a lot of that is I believe, going to come to the market here shortly with some of these deployments that are in the works and some of these partnerships. From a broader relay perspective, we have another asset that is on its way to going public itself. That's turning around in the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, generally. And we have lots more in the works that will come shortly here now that the capital raise is complete, and we're in a position to really scale up and execute on these things.
Okay. I'd like to actually, Dr. Greenberg, I want to ask you. Usually we ask this on. We haven't had you on before, so I usually ask the CEOs. This is, where do you see the company, 3 years from now? What is, what is RELA going to look like?
Well, it should be Clark who speaks for Relay. So, Clark.
Well, I think what we should really talk about is where Michael, and you touched on it with the vaccination question, because that really is something that's hanging out there. People say, okay, this technology seems like it's great, and it's tailor-made, built for the time, but how long is this going to last? And so the next 3 years is actually a pretty convenient timeline to talk about this. I think it was the National Post yesterday said that to button up and be prepared, that COVID's going to be around for the next 4 or 5 years. Or I believe if you speak with medical personnel, if you really look into how these things work, the world is a very big place. And thanks to travel, people move around, and they come from countries that may not have access to the same levels of healthcare that we do. And you have strains, this is still a very new issue for us. We don't know if this is going to be, you're going to vaccinate the public, and this is something that's no longer worried about, which is going to take years to do anyways. And the real third point is, this is really brought to the world's attention how we are exposed, how the most developed nations and economies in the world are exposed to a virus, and we were caught with our pants down. The U.S., Canada, you really can't look around and find anybody who had the infrastructure in place or what was needed in place to handle. Certainly not to give the public the confidence that they should, that their senior government officials have their interests taken care of in a situation like this. And what we do is really offer that infrastructure, because there will be a COVID-20 and a COVID-21 or 22. There will be other diseases and issues that we have here. This is now it's in everybody's mindset. And we've had, we saw H1N1 not that long ago, and the effect that it had on the economy temporarily, and from a media perspective, a lot of hysteria and issues. The next one that comes across, the next one that blows across the ocean and lands here, will be met with the same anxieties and the same hysteria, and we better have technologies and platforms and solutions in place to manage those. Otherwise, we can't go through this again. And that's a big part of what we're doing with FioNet. We can talk about COVID all day long, because it's going to be a problem that we're going to be involved in managing the next 2-3 years for sure. But there are other threats out there, and we do need to be prepared, and we offer a unique solution to do that.
And maybe it's somewhat less exciting because it's not about pandemics, but it is just as exciting if you focus on dollars. COVID did something irreversible. It will not go back. Pharmacies in this country that have tried for a long time to be able to provide some more healthcare, but never could, now can, and they're not going to give it up. In the United States, as I said, 67,000 pharmacies were not places that could do testing, ordinary testing. You had to go to a doctor. You had to go to a lab. Post-COVID, there is already, and it won't go back, a tsunami shift of decentralized healthcare services, grabbed hold of by people who can provide those services more inexpensively and to their own profit, so they're not going to give it up. Our platform enables them to do that with traceability, with quality control, and with real-time reporting. It's a platform for where healthcare is going, whether it's for COVID-21 or just ordinary services that will be provided outside of hospitals.
Wow. So it's fine. I was about to ask you, what are the top reasons to, we usually ask CEOs, what top reasons for investors to, in their opinion, to get stock, and that you kind of touched it pretty much. That was a, very, very, very great answer for that. Let me just I want to ask, we've got just one audience question. Any revenues expected for the year? Like what's kind of any projections that you can make right now? 18 months. Oh, sorry, hang on. Clark, wait. Clark, yeah. I have you on mute before because of the feedback.
No problem at all. No problem at all. No projections right now. I'm hoping that disclosures as they come will help paint that picture. But as you know, as we are making that transition from a pre-revenue company to a commercial company at Relay on multiple assets, it's a very sensitive time when it comes to making any statements about revenues. I think that will become much clearer in the next within this quarter. We should be able to kind of flesh out what that could look like through the proper disclosure channels. And I know that's a PC answer, but we do have to be careful.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the last question. Both of you guys can, which is kind of touching on before. You can kind of chime in as you as you'd like. So the last question we always ask in these live streams is in your opinion, what are the top 3 reasons why investors should consider Relay Medical?
Michael Greenberg. No. I can say that I think we kind of touched on them. One is when you look at these things, you look at the risk, and the technology risk is low. We've shown this has been well demonstrated, recorded, that this is a platform that has value, that offers a very unique solution to a problem that used to exist in other places and now is on our front door. Number 2, the market is enormous. So if we can make just a small impact in the market, this will be a success for investors. And 3, which really puts the first 2 into context, which is the time is right. We now are in a position where we've spent the time to start the scale-up process, to make sure that we have products and a system to deliver. We're well capitalized, and the market and the regulatory landscape has opened up and is showing that it's the only way that this will effectively be managed is by the use of antigen tests and devices and solutions like ours, which offer holistic testing solutions in large quantities, accurate, at a costing situation that can be done anywhere. You're talking, when you're adding dollars to a plane ticket or dollars to a cruise, a few dollars, and that means that you can cruise or you can get on your flight with the confidence that you're not going to land on the other end with a virus. That $5, $10, whatever it comes down to, becomes very affordable. And the whole business of screening and of testing is doing these things multiple times to track, use that data, monetize that data on our end later. And so it's a unique space and time where we seem to have the critical issues lined up, and we're ready to execute, and we're pretty confident in our ability to perform.
Okay, Dr. Greenberg.
I agree with Clark. I would say that there is an enormous market. The word enormous has been used a bunch of times today, not just by us. And it is like discovering a new continent. It's really quite amazing to look out at the sheer size of decentralized healthcare and be able to serve that in a new way. And COVID put us all there. So it's a very big market. Second thing is we have a unique solution, and we're shortly first to scale, which will result in a database. For every test we make, we capture a ton of data as well, which will result in one of the largest, if not the largest, database for decentralized healthcare, now fed by all kinds of parties that aren't hospitals, and that's where most of the population is. So big market, first to scale, and third, I think the asset we will have by virtue of the first two will make us very coveted. And not only by very large concerns that would want that, but also by very large concerns that would not want that in the hands of one of their competitors. So big market, first to scale, and a coveted asset as a result.
Three good reasons. I like it. Okay, guys. On that note, I want to thank you. For getting sharing the story, kind of doing sharing the video so we can kind of see how it works. And I think everybody in our audience is looking to more news, seeing how fast you're scaling this. So we'll have you back on the next live stream. Oh, Clark, sorry, I had you mute. Okay.
No problem. I said thank you very much, Jack. We appreciate it, and always good catching up, and we look forward to updates in the future.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for joining our live stream today, and we'll see you in the next one.